Hi, in this video we are going to talk about repeated notes. Now what I mean by this is when you have to repeat the same key many times. Now this is a problem which we all encounter. It is a difficult thing for many people, but I will share some of my tricks and some of my ways of thinking when I see repeated notes. And by doing these things, by applying these things, I find it rather easy to do actually. So for example, I show you just this is the very famous Scarlatti Sonata. So in this example, for example, you see I have 6 notes on each of the keys. So the way I approach this, for example, is by thinking it in 2 groups of 3. So 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. And this is the first suggestion I would give you, is to change fingers when you repeat a key. Now there are very few places maybe where I wouldn't do that, but most of the time I would strongly recommend you changing fingers when you repeat the same keys. Now the reason for that is, you see, many people when they repeat a key, they get tensed. That is really the biggest problem. People get tensed, they start curling, and then they can't continue playing because everything is blocked. So when you repeat notes, it is extremely important to keep a natural physical flow going. Now, you see, when you repeat the same note, a lot of people think I need to play it exactly in the same place on the key, but that's already cause for concern. Because you see, all our fingers have different lengths and different shape. And for me, the most important thing is to keep them in the most natural shape, which is like this. For me, that's how my hand feels and looks comfortable. That's how all my fingers feel great. So when I play, I try to keep that shape. I'm not trying to curl up. I'm not trying to do this. I really try to stay as natural as possible. Now, in order to do this on a repeated key, I will have to take into account that I cannot play the same key on the same place. So for example, to explain this a little bit further, is the middle fingers are the longest fingers. So in order to play them comfortably, I have to play them here, and then the second finger I play here, but my thumb is a short finger and I really like to play it like this. So when you see, I want you to look at this part of my arm. By playing like this, can you see how much movement there is actually here? And how much I actually move on the key. So look at it again. So there's quite a lot of in and out happening. And when I try to play it faster within a musical piece, I start to shape them, I start to shape them in these groups of 3. I think them in 1, 2, 3. And by doing this, I have a constant physical flow going, and I can stay completely and utterly free, and I never curl up with my fingers. Yeah. So this is the most important thing for you to remember. There are a lot of little technical things happening underneath, which is far too complicated to explain. But if your technique is fairly decent, you're ready to approach repertoire where you encounter repeated notes, then think about this. So there are a couple of places also, for example, in Chopin valses, in the Valse Brillante, where you have it on black keys or white keys. It is always the same idea. So I would first and foremost check, place your hand in the natural position on the key you have to repeat. Start with the finger you want to do this. In a 6-note group, I would always recommend doing 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. That's the most natural fingering. So for me, on the black key, it's here. Then the second finger is here and the thumb is here. So again, can you see my in and out of what happens here? And you can see that the rest of my hand is utterly relaxed, is not involved. I don't need to use or tense up my fingers in order to adjust my position, because I like to keep the natural position, which is like this. But in order to do that, I need to take into account that I have to use my forearm, which brings me in and out, and that I have to take into account that I don't play the key exactly on the same place. Okay, when you have it, for example, just like in shorter versions, any fingering will do. Yeah, you can, any fingering will do. As you see again, I change a little bit my position here. You know, whatever it is always in movement. There's always a small, very flowing underneath movement happening, which is extremely important. Now, when you have, for example, repeated octaves, this is something, questions come up like this a lot. It's the same idea. So when you have octaves, maybe I show you here my left hand, you can see this better. A lot of people again do exactly the same thing. They come from the top and they want to play the key exactly on the same place. But again, what that does, in order to play it on the same place, I actually need to tense up to stop my hand from playing freely. Whereas I do it exactly the opposite. I think my arm is free. My arm always has to stay free. I use every opportunity to release unwanted tension. And so when I repeat octaves, I usually feel the key first. And then, can you see, I go a little bit forward with each octave. So, yeah, and the right hand. So this is again the same idea, that there is a constant little movement happening here, and I never ever stick to the same place. I stay in touch with the key, like this. But when you look very, very carefully, I go a little bit in and out again, and it's never the precise same place I touch the key. Sorry, when I play fast and the camera always adjusts, but have a look here. You see what happens? Yeah, so obviously that's the very famous L-König. Everyone is going to play this eventually if you're a serious pianist. So just for the people who are ready to do that, address it in the same idea. Think that every time you play a repeated note, something is moving, something has to keep on flowing. Because as soon as you stay static, you're done. You will block, you will tense, and you can't continue. So in this, for instance, here with this example with the L-König, I'd like you again, this is again group of 6. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Can you see what happens? It's so minimal. It is so minimal what I do, and yet if I don't do it, I'm already tensing up. I can't repeat. Yeah. So feel the keys. That is very crucial, and think it like when I show to you these 3 octaves, when you have to go forward and repeat like this, it's the same idea. It's just that you have to go down again. So you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up, down, down. And you see, I stay in touch with the key. I never come from the top. I can't recommend this in this. It is extremely difficult. I would not do this wrist staccato in this instance. I would literally stay on the keys, make sure I'm free. Imagine like the air always goes through, and then you do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you have this, this is the way I would practice it bar by bar, so in sections, that you really physically practice and encounter the moment of release. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, release. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, release. This is how you build up stamina, and this is how you teach your body, to remind your body constantly to release, yeah? But again, like in the single notes, the trick is to have a little shape coming here and there, here and there. C, C, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah? And when you have, for example, chords, someone else asked about chords, like, for example, you have this here, this chord, and you have to play it 3 times. Again, the same idea. You feel the keys first, and then you just go up, you know? You go forward, not up. You go more forward towards the lid. And again, let's wait until my camera... Yeah, that's it. So it's never in the same place. It's a 1, 2, 3. You see my second finger moves forward, plays a different place. Yeah. Again, because when you keep it in the same place, you tighten up here, you tighten up here, and then also your sound is usually harsh. So really make sure, you know, you have it all over the repertoire. Prokofiev has a lot of repeated chords. Every composer, Liszt. You know, always remember that something has to move. Okay? So I hope this helps. And any questions, just ask.